Hi everyone, hopefully happy Wednesday or Friday or whichever day of the week it happens to be. Happy day of the week or the weekend, I guess. Um, so I realized, I'm kicking off watercolor summer and I hadn't really planned anything in terms of watercolor and it seems kind of silly. So I was like, well, I have some new watercolor pencils to try out and let's go bold with our first attempt. Now, if you are not familiar with how I usually do my watercolor summer pages, these are typically, I call them demos and not tutorials because I'm most of the time just trying things out. It may go great, it may go terrible. So I call these demos, and that's kind of what this is. Um, especially when I'm using regular paper and not treated paper. So when it comes to using watercolor in books, if you're not familiar, mine's all over on the shelf. Anyway, hang on, let me go grab it. All right, well, I thought I had some watercolor ground and I thought I had some clear gesso, but there's no telling whether those are at right now. So I do have this easily available because this is my favorite thing to use. So one of my favorite ways when I'm using watercolor mediums in a book, especially a book that has either paper I'm not used to or paper that doesn't handle water well, such as Amazon paper, I like to pre-treat the page. Clear gesso is a way to go. Watercolor ground. And then this is satin glazing liquid. And this is my favorite. I feel like out of the three, this leaves the least amount of texture on the page. So when these dry, they basically create like a watercolor type paper that will keep the water on the surface longer, but usually it has a new texture to it, like a rougher texture. And I feel like out of the three, this usually gives me the least amount of texture. However, it's still a problem when I use pencils on it. So I did take some advice and got like this really light type of sandpaper block that I think I'm going to try to use this year. So typically when I'm in Amazon books in particular, I will use this. We're not going to use this today. We're just going to go crazy, right? We're just going to come out of the gate with something wild. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm just going on previous years and previous experiences with Amazon paper, which of course the paper has probably changed. So this is just, it's a demo. It's a demo. So we're going to color out an Easy Summer by Joshua Dunbar. This is his latest, and y'all know he's one of my favorite artists, and I try to feature him as much as I can. It's so hard because his books are so awesome, and like I feel like lately it's been hard for me to color in people's books because I've been so down all the time, and it's like when I'm doing a color in chat, I know like it feels weird to be coloring somebody's picture and trying to feature their book and then have be like talking about negative stuff all the time. I don't know. Anyway, so this is going to be a more positive video. I am going to put my plug out there again. Of course, if you do have favorite artists and favorite groups that publish coloring books, please, please, please leave them reviews, particularly on Amazon. And what I usually do is I'll complete a page out of the book and then I'll take a picture of it and then leave my review. With the influx of AI generated books, it is making it harder and harder for certain artists, for hand-drawn artists, to get their stuff on recommended pages and stuff, just because of the good old algorithm that is a part of Amazon, I suppose. And so the more reviews we leave on books and the more reviews they get, the more likely they're going to show up on people's recommended lists and things like that. So just to help give them more visibility, of course, you could do that on any of the sites. I'm just thinking particularly the Amazon printed published artist in particular in this case. So there's my weekly plug for that. All right, so latest from Joshua Dunbar. I don't know, this page just spoke to me today. I was looking through and sometimes I'm like, I'm going to color this page or that page first. And then I come across a page and it's just like, man, I wish I could do this. I don't wish I was like an inch tall, but I do wish I could be this relaxed. So we're going to do this page. My plan is a watercolor base with pencil or pastel pencils on top. And we're going to use my new watercolor pencils, which are the Caran Museum Aquarelle. So I do have the, there's, I think just the Aquarelles, and then these are the Museum Aquarelles. So there's 76 colors. I don't know whose page it was. It might have been Christina's Art Corner, because it seems like I get a lot from her lately. I saw these on somebody's page, and what really got me was how easily these dissolved. These are like the, I guess, higher end version of the Aquarelle colored watercolor pencils. Here's the box. And they are not cheap. They are pretty expensive. But I decided to splurge, and I haven't had a chance to try them out yet. So we're going to try them on this page today. I'm basing this, so might as well go ahead and get going. I have the chart here. I'm using a light cobalt blue. So I am basing this, sorry, there we go. I am basing this on previous Jade Summer books where I've used watercolor pencils, and because I'm not using as much water, I seem to be able to get away with not pre-treating the page. But of course the paper probably has changed since then. That was quite a few years back. But I figure it's worth a shot just to see. So yeah, my theory here, usually with Jade Summer books, you can, or Jade Summer. This isn't Jade Summer, it's Joshua Dunbar. Used to do art for Jade Summer. My theory, or my old theory, was that you can use watercolor on untreated paper in Amazon printed books. The concept is to use the least amount of water possible, because the page gets wavy, the color wants to pull, it dries quickly because the paper soaks it up, so you don't get a chance to, like, if you put regular watercolor on the paper, it's hard to like mix colors on the paper or smooth it out, because it just wants to dry as soon as the water hits the paper. So, and it can make the page pretty wavy and crunchy, as some of us refer to it. Now, I am not stressing too much about like putting down a super heavy layer. The plan is to make this a base and then come in either with pastels or colored pencils to add in the more vibrant color. Now, I have done pages with just watercolor pencils before, but again, that's been in Creative Haven books, which have slightly better paper. I would like to attempt that, but first I want to try it with just the base to see. And I can already tell that this might have to be done over multiple days, because my wrist is already bugging me today for some reason. Oh, it might have been, I'm filming this on a Saturday. It might be because I finished that Moon Valley picture yesterday. So for some of y'all that are probably like, what is watercolor summer? You didn't see my Instagram post or see it at the end of my completed pages video. It is a tag I run every summer. I believe this is the third summer we're running it. Anybody's welcome to co-host, by the way. If you're interested, let me know. But basically I run it over the summer in some capacity, where if you use any water-based mediums in a coloring page, it counts. So that can include just like Crayola or water-based markers. That includes watercolor pencils. Basically, if whatever you're putting on the page, like if you're adding water to the page or whatever you have has water in it, it counts. I stay pretty flexible on that. And the goal of it is to just encourage people to use even water-based markers. Even water-based markers can be tricky in a book or in a coloring page because they can pill and tear at the paper. So it's just trying to encourage people to use their water-based mediums more in books. Like I said, I try not to ever do tutorials, mostly just because I'm coloring so infrequently at this point that anytime I do start to color, it's basically like I'm starting back over. And I have to kind of refresh my memory, so like I feel like there was something. Oh, right, that Mystical Cats page in Secret Places. I did use water on that one. I think that's been like the only one this year. I still have that Precious Cats, Precious Cat, Story of Precious Cat, whatever it's called. That double page, pirate page that I think I colored the base for Watercolor Summer last year. Like, I still haven't done the pencil part on that. So, that might be a goal to finish that this year. Poet Spice and I have also picked, I believe, a page out of the another Nelco Neko book, Modern Girls with Cats. She knows I really want to do the double page spread with all the cats having the picnic, and like it's gonna take me a while, so I was like, you know, hopefully you don't, if you want to do these quick, I probably need to pick something else, but I was like, you know, I'm cool with that, and it'll probably be a watercolor base because that's a pretty big picture, and I'm gonna have to use gelatos or neocolors or something as a base on it and then add pencil in. So it seems to be going down the paper. I'm getting some pretty good color with it. I tried to pick a page that was a little more simplistic just because I didn't know how this was going to go. I briefly thought about making this like a straight color marker only book, but I think I'm going to pick one of his other books for that. Or I don't know if I'm even going to do that. I may just say it's straight markers unless I feel differently, is basically how it's going to be. And then, just for testing purposes, I am going to put in a little bit. This was the light cobalt blue 661. I am going to put in a little bit of the genuine cobalt blue around the edges, just to see how it mixes in. Of course, the goal will be to bring in colored pencils to do this, to do most of the heavy lifting with the shading, but I was just curious to see if this would actually dissolve. I'm not going to do it with all the objects on the screen. On the page. I might have to turn it this way. Sorry, guys. Like I said, the goal is that this will dissolve. The plan is that these will dissolve well, so I can just kind of scribble here and it'll be fine. I will probably speed up some parts of this video and clip out parts because I plan to try to activate all the pencil at once across the board. And that way, because the paper's so delicate, I don't want to keep going back over it and over it with water. Like, I want to do it all at once. So hopefully the paper quality stays as good as it can. And what I'll probably do, if this is successful and I come back in with pencils, I'll probably do the pencil part off screen. Or just show you a little bit of it at the end. Because I know this video is going to be longer anyway. I mean, that's barely any of the darker blue, but I was just curious to see what it'd do around the edges. Okay. So let me start coloring something else. Okay. So the clouds, instead of white clouds, I'm going to do this kind of yellow, like cream, pink, purple, pastel-y colors that I saw on Instagram today. I don't know if you guys can even really see that. It's so pale. Put a lot of trust in these being able to dissolve. Let me tell you. I hope everybody's having a good week so far. Since I'm not quite sure when I'm going to be posting this, I probably should have grabbed a peach color. Yeah, might include that. Oh, one of the downsides to the landscape page is the way my desk is layered. I have to. God, we're already at 19 minutes. I might do this cloud real quick and then might then move on and show y'all the filled in page before I activate it. Where'd my go? Alright, what am I looking for? I think we want to go with this one. Yep, 542. I also thought about doing, oh, I don't know, I can't remember, was Pixie? I think it was Pixie's projects. Pixie might, I think had the tutorial on using like the gel crayons to create like a really luscious background, and I seriously thought about that too, but we'll try that for next time. Alright, let me hop out, let me finish this up off camera, and then we will get started activating it with water. Alright, so we are back. There is my pencil layer, my watercolor pencil layer. To activate, I usually use my Arteza water brushes. I like these the best. That's weird. And I usually have to keep like 3 or 4 of them filled up. For some reason I like only using this brush tip. It's, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like just what I need in between like big backgrounds and little areas, I guess. Okay, so we're gonna add water to this, and we're gonna hope it doesn't muck it all up. We're gonna hope. We're gonna hope. All right. So I have my paper towel over here. I'm just using the button to wet it. Just wet it down, then tap it on the paper, on the paper towel. Excuse me. Again, the goal is not to introduce too much water. But just enough to dissolve the pencil. Oh, that was a little more water than I meant to do. Like I said, these are demos. Well, for one thing too, this is my first time using these types of pencils, and so I don't know how well they dissolve. So that's kind of the test here. And I don't want to make the paper too fragile for when I use pastel pencils or just regular pencils over it. It does seem like it's dissolving pretty well. The natural flow of the pen, I'm not having to press the button or anything. The natural flow of the water into the brush seems to be enough to dissolve it, so I'm not having to add any extra water. That is very good. I would say if you're going to use watercolor pencils and Amazon books, you probably, obviously the easier they dissolve, the better off you will be, because you will have to use less water. I've tried Neocolor 2s a little bit. No, I take that back. I've tried Gelatos. I've tried Neocolor 2s. I think they dissolve pretty well as well. So that might be an option. I mean, it's probably not going to be exactly like seamless. It's going to probably look a little blotchy, but that's why I'm doing this as a base. So that when I come in with pencil, I can work on some of that blotchiness. Hopefully I don't accidentally grab the green and pull it in. I think I did a little bit. Oh well. So far these seem to dissolve very nicely. There is my inevitable cat hair that is in it. Like, it's like a signature. It's in every one of my pictures. It's just what it's like living around here. I could have just left it. Usually I would just leave it because I'm lazy. Whoops, got some of the green. How's the top looking? That was looking pretty sharp. I am pretty pleased with how those have done, and you can see there's some water, but is it showing right there? Oh, well, I have to pull it down. You can see there is some water, but not a lot, and it's drying pretty quickly. So let's continue on. Basically, I'm trying to move across top to bottom on the different features. I think I used a little too much water in that one. And the color is staying very vibrant. I mean, vibrant for the pressure that I was putting on the pencil. It's not washing out very much, which is really nice, and something that I have struggled with watercolor pencils in the past. So these might be interesting to try on a just watercolor picture where I use just the watercolor pencils on the picture in layers. That would be kind of nice. I think it would do well. Whoops, I missed a place with the pencil. Oop, too much water again. I'm bad about that, like initially starting and using too much water. So what I would say is, if you're going to do this, definitely give it, like I'm going to give this probably a full 24 hours to dry, just to make sure the paper is as dry and as strong as it's going to be before I add anything else. I would say the pastel pencils will probably be the safer bet in terms of, because of the pressure I put on pencils, I'm probably more likely, dang it, did that again. I'm more likely to, keep doing that. I am more likely to put too much pressure on the paper and cause paper ripping. So I may just stick with the pastel pencils, because those I can easily put on the paper and then blend out with a Q-tip. It is not a flawless blend, but it seems like is blending pretty well nonetheless. Ooh, that green, that olive green color is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Whoops. One of the good things about watercolor is you can usually fix any mistakes pretty easily. Ooh, I love that bright green too. I feel like these are dissolving very nicely. Like I said, you can see just a little bit of water from a water brush is just enough for these. Another cat hair. Guess we're gonna leave that one in place. Like I said, if I have a watercolor page that doesn't have a cat hair stuck in it, then it's probably not one of my pages. Oh yes, those bright colors just... I think towards the end I was getting a little more heavy-handed with my hand too, so like here it's not as washed as the sky and the clouds are. Because y'all know how I get. I get in a hurry to finish a page. And I start putting all that extra pressure down. But at least you're seeing some of the different types of pigments. So, like the background, you see where you use it in, I guess, a more typical fashion where it's just going to be a lighter base. And then here you can see how some of it is if you apply a little more pressure. Like I said, I think these pencils would be great for shading and just doing a paper page with the pencils and nothing else. My Albert Dürer pencils did really well with that last year. Or was it the year before? I can't quite remember. But, I mean, it's just, yeah. Like butter. Butter, butter, butter. And this is a very forgiving thing. So like if part of the page doesn't dissolve well, then I can just come back in with the pencils over it. Like some of the clouds aren't doing quite as well as I hoped, but I think we can... It's probably because of my scribbling, and I think we can make it work with something over the top. I'm just so darn impatient, I think. It's one of the reasons I struggle so much when I color. Just I get so impatient. And y'all can't see what I'm doing. I love that green. It's like an olive green or something, if I remember right. Like, that is just gorgeous. I always forget, like, you know, it does take a while to put the initial pencil down, but like I always forget how just quickly these can activate like this. And how it can make a page actually pretty quick. It feels like a while because you got to give it, you know, time to dry, but really and truly, if you look at the total time doing this, it's probably not very long at all. Very nice. Like sometimes watercolor pencils will give kind of a mottled look on the page. And these do a little bit, but not like other pencils. Ink tints in particular, I struggle with on untreated Amazon paper because I don't like the look they give in really big spaces. Whoop. Go away, go away. But like these are real nice. They probably should be for the price. I did splurge a bit. Y'all know how things have been lately with me. But I can see myself using these a lot. Like, in fact, I'm like, why do they only have initially when I got it, I'm like, why do they only have 76 colors? I feel like at this point, if you're making colored pencils and I know the ones that blend and spend the time to do blends and stuff are like, you know, and you can make amazing things happen with 24 pencil sets, 12 pencil sets. You don't have to have 100 plus of a pencil set to get the colors and the blends that you want. But if I wasn't working and I had all the time in the world, I would be like, absolutely, you know, 100% I can probably do that. But like I prefer to just, I'm lazy. I'm a lazy colorist. I prefer to have all the pencils already there in front of me where I don't have to, at this point I get overwhelmed just building palettes and putting colors together. So like color family charts, like the uh, color with Claire family charts and stuff are super helpful to me. And I love the people that can take the time to do that kind of stuff and want to and they enjoy it, but like that's just not me. Not me in my season of life right now. So almost done. Let me get his boots. I made him a very colorful dude with his purple boots. There. Oh, I forgot to get his hands and his face. And his beard. I did add just a touch of yellow to his beard. This is where I need to not be lazy and get a smaller brush. But my brain's like, meh, you'll make it work. Okay. Clear that out. I don't even think you're going to be able to see this as much on here. Probably that'll be more adding in pencil. Do want to try to scrub that out a little bit and add that. And there we go. So like seriously, I mean theoretically if I really just wanted to do no pencil, this would be absolutely fine as is. I think it looks great. In fact, I will probably try to straight color as we call it, which is kind of weird to say it that way. Just one layer of color. I think this would stand well on its own, but I really want to pack a punch to this, so I do want to add some pencil, and it won't take very long because it's not a big picture. As you can see on this side of the page, it is wrinkled, so, but it is still damp in some areas, but it's drying pretty quickly. So it is going to get wavy. It's going to get a little crunchy, as we call it. I guess what I'll do is show you guys what it looks like when it's completely dry right before I add the pencil and stuff to it. And I'll probably close it a little bit to flatten it out a little bit as well. So yeah, the Caran Museum Aquarelle pencils, fabulous as a base coat. If they can work in an Amazon book, I feel like I can make them work anywhere. And the fact that they dissolve so well without me having to treat the page also is a big plus for me. But a lot of that depends on texture too. I found Hannah Carl's own books have more texture to them, and so things that should dissolve easily, like Neocolor 2s, they do, but you can't work with them on the surface as well, like they dry really quickly. So sometimes I say that if it works here, it works everywhere. That's not necessarily true. But the fact that these dissolve very easily, I think on any smooth page book, like I want to try these in Maria Trolle or an Erie book or somewhere like that, I think these would do fantastic. You just got to be a little careful when it comes to the textured pages on how easily they dissolve, and just test. I'm super pleased with these. Again, the key on these is to use as little water as possible on an untreated Amazon page, and so you want to try to get mediums that dissolve easily, like Neocolor 2s, the Museum Aquarelles, the Albert Dürer probably would do well too. I'll have to try those. Ink tints do well. Just like I said, they also give a little bit of a mottled kind of look to them, which I don't particularly enjoy with the look with the ink tints, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But this doesn't do that. Sorry, I saw one thing, and I shouldn't be doing this. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, hopefully that's probably not going to fix it. That's okay, we'll fix it with pencil. So yeah, next clip I'll probably show you some start on some pencil, and then show you the finished picture, because I really need to wrap this one up because it's went for a while. But this looks great. I am so glad to be coloring in his book, and this just gives me a vibe. I tell y'all, today I was working on the color and chat, and like I just been meh and stressed, like, and there's really nothing to be super stressed about. I've just been struggling to want to do anything. And then I knew I wanted to color a picture, and I saw this, and I'm like, I do want to use watercolor. And like, I don't know, now I feel I'm in such a better mindset. It's amazing when you really get into doing something like this and having fun. Like, it's amazing how quickly your mindset changes. So I feel much better than I did earlier today. I'm so glad I took the time to do this. I think I'm going to chill the rest of the day, color, play some video games, and just enjoy what time I have until the dreaded Monday comes. So, alright, I'll be back in a second. For y'all, it'll feel like it's just happening. So, alright, so our page has had 24 hours to dry. As you can see, it did get quite crinkly, but it doesn't feel super fragile, so that's good news. However, I decided to go the easier route here. For one thing, just wanted to put some quick color down, and two, pastel pencils, I'll be rubbing, or I'll be using the pencil on the page less, so it'll keep the paper from, less chance of it ripping either. So I've picked out some colors. So when I say pastel pencils, I mean the pencils are actually like pastel medium, not like pastel colors. And I do really like my Derwent set. I have this and the Pit Pastel. Is it not Pit Pastel? Or maybe it is. The one from Faber-Castell, I have that set too, but this is the one I usually go with. So, have my glove on for protection and to keep from rubbing the page, hopefully. And I usually use Q-tips to blend this out. Now, with this, I usually make it pretty subtle. So what I'm doing is my usual go-to. I'm not doing any super fancy shading. Hang on. There we go. Not doing any super fancy shading. I'm just creating like an outline that I'm going to buff out with the Q-tip. Kind of like I did with a watercolor pencil. And like I said, that was kind of testing to see if it would do well with a little bit of the pencil, and it did. But I want just a little more oomph. So My biggest problem is rubbing over existing pastel areas, so again, I generally try to work. This is the one where I actually try to work like top down and left to right in sections, so I don't run the risk of rubbing the pastel with my hands. I'm really pleased with how the watercolor pencils did here, for sure. Okay. A little bit more on top there. They're not too dusty. At least I don't have too much of a problem with them. Alright, let's get the Q-tip. Let's see how this goes. Now, granted, using the watercolor pencils could change the texture of the paper, but so far actually probably could have went with a darker color because this is really subtle, but that's okay. I'm, pretty happy with subtle at this point. And I just come through and, like I said, just kind of rub it out into the page. I try not to go over the lines because it can make them the line art look a little faded. This is a little trickier on this paper just because it's crinkled. But there you go. I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, I just wanted something really subtle. So let's go ahead and start on the clouds and see how this goes. I was a little worried the saffron would be too hard to see, and I think I'm going to be right on that one. Which the yellow is really hard to see too, so. Golly, you can't see I really did anything. That's pretty funny. Wonder what the next. So that was vanilla. Boy, zinc yellow just seems really yellow. I don't know if I want to do that. Let's try just. It's probably going to buff right back out, but let's try a second layer. Maybe I just do it lightly. It's a little better. Grab a fresh one. The one downside to the pastel pencils is there's really only like 72 in the set, so well, you can barely see that. And you know, that's okay though. I'm actually pretty cool with that right now. Alright, let's go with his pants. And I picked a pretty bright green for this, so I think you'll be able to see this one pretty good. Yeah, sometimes it's just you're kind of limited by by the pencils. I'm gonna see how I like it at the end. If I feel like the clouds are too subtle, that's interesting. The color is not going to go down on the paper. Very interesting. Yeah, it's the paper. Very interesting. You see that? It's just like where the paper, the watercolor pencil's been over, it doesn't want to take the stick or the thing to blend. So I don't know if I've had that happen before with watercolor. So that's interesting. I might try to take some off the pencil and see if I can do it that way. That was really interesting. I wonder why it's doing that. So yeah, if you do use pastel pencils, or it may do this for colored pencils as well, note that on the Amazon paper, if you put the watercolor pencil down, it may be difficult and not want you to put any pencil over the top. Because like there, I am putting a whole lot of pressure down and nothing. So that is very interesting. So we learning together. Yeah, doing it again. I wonder if maybe I didn't wet the paper enough, and so like the pencil is trying to fight with the pigment of the watercolor pencil. Yeah, like I said, you can see it here. Like, it's just really, really, really subtle. But I like the look of it. And like I said, this is super quick compared to usually how I have to do pencils. So, one of the reasons I like that. And there it goes again. Like at this point, it's like almost, I wonder if is it the watercolor or is it the paper? I don't know. So I think we'll finish him. I might do the, what is it called, a cattail? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. Underneath them, and then I'll probably finish out this picture on my own because this video is already running very long. It's right in the shaded areas of the paper. So where the shading is seems to be where I'm having the trouble. I did hear, see some people asking if they had changed the Amazon paper. There might be. Actually might be the case. I'm gonna put another layer there. I think I'm gonna go real light with that one. That's a little better. I'm trying to use a lighter touch to leave more of the pigment on so it can be seen a little better. There we go. Yep. So instead of like rubbing the pastel out like extremely so, I'm just doing a very light touch just to leave some more of it on there so that we can actually see the pastel. That seems to be working pretty well here. Sorry, I'm trying to grab an eraser. This mono eraser will do. A little bit of the orange got on his beard, so I just want to, and that's another really nice thing about pastel is it's very easy to clean up. So yeah, here. And I will finish this. Basically what I do is like my pencil pages and my pastel pages, I will usually wait and try to get a lot of them together at once, and then take a day and like spray them on days where like the cats aren't outside on the front porch, because I don't want them breathing in the fumes. But I usually use like I have a couple different ones. I have like the workable fixative. I have the Mod Podge version. I have a couple different types of sealant fixatives to use to seal this in. So let's grab some gray for his beard. So let's do a little, just a touch of shadow through here. A little bit there. A little bit there. Just basically, Joshua Dunbar, the artist, has really done most of the heavy lifting in terms of shading on here, because he includes very light shading, and I greatly dig it when he does that, and it makes it a lot easier on me. So it's one of the reasons I enjoy his books so much. I can see it a lot more than I know y'all can see it, but like, again, I just like showing y'all some different ways to do this. but he has turned out very nice. Um, I'll try to go out and hopefully get a picture of this in full on light, and hopefully it'll show a little more detail. But man, like, I wish, oh, I wish, I know I could probably do the same with just a darker pencil and just shade around the edges, but it just wouldn't be as easy to blend out. And here, of course, if I don't want to blend out as much of it, I can. Now, I might give it a little bit of a scribbly look, but I'm pretty, you can see this is no muss, no fuss coloring for me, which is my favorite kind of coloring. Like here, I'm not even rubbing in circles, I'm just pulling it down and around. And down here, I'll go in circles a little bit. I'm not super thrilled by this color. Wish I'd had. Again, it's kind of tricky when you're limited to so many colors, but I think it's good enough. It just looks a little dirty, but it's shaded. Okay, so I'm going to finish this. I'm probably going to go over, I may go over some areas a couple different times just to get a little more of an intense look, but so far I'm loving this is exactly what I wanted, and I'm excited to show you guys how it looks again. So back in a minute. Alright, here is the finished result. Yeah, when in doubt, go a shade darker on the pastel. So I went back over and I used some brighter colors, and that seems to really help. I'm still running into that problem where right along the edges where I was doing my shading, like the pastel didn't want to lay down. And I'm going on the theory that I just didn't activate the pencil there. So I'm trying to put pastel pencil over technically watercolor pencil that hasn't been wet. So that's the theory I'm going to go on, and I'm going to hope it's not the paper that's the problem. But I guess I'll find out the next time I do like marker and then do that. But I've never had that happen before, so I think it's just, that's just something to keep an eye on when you're using watercolor pencils, is just make sure you activate it as thoroughly as you can. If you're going to put anything over the top of it, it might cause some issues with laydown. So I love how this turned out. I'm so glad. It looks a little bit washed out on screen, but like the colors really pop in person. So hopefully I can get a better picture of it. But I don't know if you can really see with him, but I ended up outlining him in Stardust Jelly Roll in his boots, because he is a little gnome, so he's got to have a little touch of sparkle, a little touch of magic about him. But I am very happy with how this turned out, and as long as it doesn't cause any issues within the book to have multiple pages like this, I would love to do another page like this again. The watercolor pencils were actually really easy to use. Like I said, the thing I would recommend in the future is to make sure you thoroughly activate them on the paper if you're going to put anything on top, as there may be texture issues with laying back over. I did the best I could with it. It's not really super noticeable, but it was a little frustrating in some of the areas I was trying to lay down the pigment, particularly the leaves. So just something to keep in mind. Like I said, I really hope it's not the paper itself, and I don't think it is. I think it's just the fact that I was going quick with my water pen and not thoroughly activating everything. But for the most part, I think it turned out great. So this is the Caran Museum Aquarelle watercolor pencils with the Derwent Pastel pencils on top. And like I said, just a little bit of sparkly gel pen on our little gnome guy there. And I'm going to call this a success for a watercolor summer. Alright, if you stuck around the video this long or happen to see this in the chapter links in the description, since I'm not doing, this is technically I guess my coloring chat this week, I thought I would show you guys real quick, just because I'm talking about it a lot because I guess I'm proud that I'm doing it. I'm still keeping up with my planners. And so we've been doing this now since the start of July, and I've been doing my half year in pixels. All these are about to just be really dark red because it's going to be really hot here soon. It's funny, my mood's just kind of all over the place. It seems this week I've been struggling a bit more on the end half of the week. So for the month, I just have one book in my book list so far. For my month, I have been keeping up with my little sticker or drawing a day. It's not really one line a day, but I guess a line of notes for each day. It's been interesting. And something I started to do my productivity tracker, which I've been keeping up with. This week definitely has been more productive. However, it's been a lot heavier work week, so a lot of my productivity has just been aligned with work, which is, typically how it's going to go in a week. But like mostly the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday have been very heavy work-wise this week. So I just haven't been able to do a lot otherwise. I have been getting on the elliptical every other day since the 5th, which has been, a little bit over a week now. And today's the first day that I've really just felt sore and painful all over from it. So I'll be curious to see how I feel tomorrow. But I've just been doing about 10 or 15 minutes. And y'all, I've been, not that I think the exercise really has anything to do with it, it's just helping my metabolism stabilize with the gastroparesis, and just the fact that I, due to pain issues and stuff, haven't been up and active, I guess, like somebody my age typically would. My metabolism's really slow. I mean, I haven't had it officially tested, but I feel really confident that it's pretty slow. And one of the reasons I'm doing the elliptical for just 10 minutes at a time is to kind of help my digestive system and my metabolism maybe pick back up. It's one of many reasons. I'm trying to build some strength back in my legs and stuff. And I've been just one day I started it, and for 10 minutes every other day. Like I said, it's only been a week, but that's huge for me. The fact that I've been able to be consistent. And I've also that, and just not buying the kids cereal anymore, which I was eating pretty much constantly for months. Switching to just fruit and stuff. I'm not even counting calories, but I've already lost 2.5 pounds in a couple weeks, so I'm pretty tickled about that. It seems to be what I'm doing is working. Right now, the last couple days have felt particularly hard. I've been extra tired and worn down. That's typically what happens, is I'll have a really good 2 or 3 weeks, and then I just start wearing down. One of the reasons being Bagheera was doing really well until about Wednesday, and then the last few days he's struggling a bit more with throwing up. Now this whole time his litter box visits have been an absolute nightmare. I don't think there's anything I can say that would make it, try to censor how disgusting it is. It's just nothing solid at all. And he is definitely, his stomach has been through the ringer, between the extra steroids flooding his body from the Cushing's and the antibiotic he had to be on, probably wrecked what little was left working, in terms of good bacteria in his stomach. The metronidazole was causing him some discomfort while it it helped the first round. I think the second round it was just with the antibiotic, it was just making everything more irritated. And I think everything's just, his digestive system's completely pissed off. And bro, like, I've been there. I know what that's like. So he is, I think, pretty uncomfortable right now with that. And so I'm hoping tomorrow we can come up with a plan to get things back on solid ground. Oh my gosh. See, if you stayed to the end, it was totally worth it because you got to hear about gross litter box issues and bad puns regarding those litter box issues. Anyway, he has also developed in the last few months a bit of a twitch, and it's basically we think he's having focal seizures, which is what Oreo had for a couple years before. We're not sure how they escalated at the end, and like he wasn't able to sleep, he wasn't able to drink water. We think something like neurological or in his brain something was going on. Probably a tumor had been developing during that time, and I'm noticing the same type of focal seizure in Bagheera. So I was hoping, I thought it had gotten a little better, but now it seems like it's just a little bit worse. So regardless, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Probably get him on some gabapentin, I'm guessing, which will help some with the pain in his stomach, and it'll help with those. And no, I mean, unless we go to like a specialist or where, and she recommends we do, most certainly I will go. But I've known this vet for, like 15 years at least, and I trust her a lot, and what she recommends, I will likely go with, and it, who knows what it could be, right? But obviously he is 15 or 16. He is already 15, borderline 16. He's already an older cat, so, and he gets very upset and stressed out at the vet. So we'll just have to talk tomorrow and see what we're going to do next. The melatonin treatments for his Cushing's, again, he seemed like, but it was weirdly, so he finished antibiotics Saturday. And like from even like towards the end of last week to like Wednesday, he seemed like he was doing really good. He was eating fairly consistently. He wasn't throwing up. He was not laying down as often. He seemed stronger. He seemed better. But then like Wednesday, like other than the litter box has always been constant. But then, like I said, yesterday he got up and he went in the litter box, and then he threw up, and he didn't really hardly want to eat yesterday. He seemed pretty uncomfortable and miserable. So, I think we still need time to see if the melatonin's going to help with the Cushing's, but in the meantime, I think there's other things we need to take care of, like we need to try to get his digestive system calmed down. I don't know, it was weird how she gave him the antibiotic just because he seemed like he was having, a lot of pancreatitis, and she wanted to rule out any type of infection. It did seem weird that he bounced back on the antibiotic, except for the litter box. And then after, half a week off the antibiotic, started struggling again. So I don't know. But we're going to talk about all that tomorrow and see what that means. And I've been down a little bit about that the last few days. So it's just been hard. I know whatever he's got is probably, there's something going on that's probably like a terminal issue. Meaning he could have a year, he could have 2 years. Oreo, like I said, I think he went 2 years with it. So I do think Bagheera's is a little more advanced, but in thinking of anything, not having a perfectly healthy cat and knowing that they're on a clock, I guess, in regards like that, it just, after having to say goodbye to 2 already this year, it's just hitting hard. And Leroy's also had a couple bouts being sick this week. We just can't, those 2, I just can't get healthy. And I gotta tell you all about trying some new food with them and everything, but we're gonna save that for the coloring chat probably next weekend. I wanted to do a live stream, but I think we're gonna wait for the weekend after because I will have a little more free time. Um, yeah, but like my checklist, I boom 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 lined up 4 different appointments I needed to make today. I was like super proud of myself for that. And you're hopefully you can't read my scratchy writing. So what I was saying here that I completely forgot, I decided to try a weekly setup in here just to see if I would use it. I'm not really using it too much. I was more going back and filling in. This might be good for in the future if I want to come back and know what I worked on a certain day at work. And this might be a good side for a little bit of like journaling or making note of specific days. So I'm going to keep at least through the end of July, and see what I think. Because the daily planner, I'm just not using it. It's a waste of money and I'm upset, but I'm not enough to use it. It's just too much for me right now. So yeah, I did that. Coloring updates, not March. I've been keeping up my dots, though you can see this week there has been hardly any coloring. Actually, this month there's been hardly any coloring. I've just been super busy. And points, I'm up to 315 for the month, and I've pretty much used them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've used 300, so I have 15 points left for the month so far. Yeah, this past week was a little tough in terms of ordering books. So, but I'm still keeping up with it, and I'm actually really happy at what like I said, it's been a good month so far. I guess tomorrow may be a test, just depending on what she says and what I come out of that with in regards to beer. um, I also have a pretty heavy work week next week, and the half of the week after. So that's going to be another test that I've this week managed so far. But usually it's where things get really rough that my efforts go awry. So for Sunday, I am planning to try to do, it is going to be a long supply haul video. I am trying to swatch everything because I know a lot of times when you look at products, you want to know what colors come in them. So I'm trying my damnedest to swatch everything. And that's what's holding it up, is I'm having to go through stuff. But I may not swatch some of these markers just because I don't want to prime. Like, I got some boxes of Arteza paint markers, and I don't know if I want to prime every single one of them. So I may just, hopefully there's a swatch in there I can just show you. So Sunday's going to be a supply haul. I'm hoping to have a book finished to show y'all by the middle of next week. The Stylish Animals by Belba Family. I have a picture and a half to finish in there. And then the following Friday, I think next weekend will be a coloring chat, and then Friday will be either a flip through if I get some of these books in, or I might do some of those videos I was talking about from my first year of coloring, like redoing them as an updated version. That might be a good day for something like that. So we'll see. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a while since I've gotten out anything watercolor related, and I had so much fun with this picture. Like, I got done with this picture and I was like, man, I really want to color, and then everything got busy, and I colored one picture after that, and then like I just haven't had time. So anyway, I had a lot of fun with this picture. I'm really glad I tried it, and I'm eager to go ahead and use these pencils. I think I have another picture already I want to use them on, so we'll see. Anyway, thanks guys. Hopefully see you Sunday. Bye for now.